I do love the fall collections. Today is Chanel Fall. I'm calling it Chanel Fall. I think it's also referred to as, I think it might be Equinox. I'm not absolutely sure. We'll get into it. I have bold blushes. I have 3 of the Libre, the loose powder eyeshadows. I have 3 of the Coco Blooms. And I have me trying on each one of them separately. So you'll see each shade on my face individually so that you can see them apart. At the moment, I have them, most of the collection actually, on my face right now. So let's go through what we have, the price points, details about packaging. Then we'll go through all of the application. You can see all of it. Then we'll wrap up with some comparisons and talk about the collection. All right, so the blushes are $65 a piece and they look like this. There is 797 right here, which beige coral, and this is 798 beige rose, 8 mauve. And as you can see, they have like the little CCs on the inside. Now, if you looked for Chanel to see what they're saying about this particular blushes, it says created exclusively for the fall winter 2023 collection. This blush duo pairs an intense shade with a delicate one, calling to mind the constraints of color and light that are characteristics of the autumnal equinox, which is why I got the Equinox thing from. Soft, warm tones accentuate the cheekbones, add radiance to the complexion, natural looking, healthy glow, luminous finish, double CCs, pattern, tribute to Gabrielle Chanel's favorite season. Oh, good. It's my favorite season as well. Okay, so like I said, I'm gonna have video of me putting these on my face, but I actually have both shades on my cheeks right now. I have the rosy shade as like my contour blush shade, and I have the coral shade as the blush shade. And I will tell you 2 things, and you'll see it when we get into the application, and I'll put the swatches up now. These are pigmented blushes. They can be put on softly, like I have them on now. I put them on very softly with a very soft brush, 2 soft brushes actually, but they are very pigmented. So there's no problem with pigment here. At least Chanel has in the past had some issues with pigment. No, these are very pigmented shades. And there is some luminosity to them, I think, from the shade that's in the middle. So this is beige et coral, so I'm gonna assume that's the beige, that's the coral. And you can use the shade on the outside by itself without mixing it with the inside, which is what I did for this look. I took the coral and used it as my transition shade as eyeshadow. So it is a very pigmented eyeshadow. It goes on beautifully. I have that up as well. I have this look up that you'll see after I do the individual shades. I then took 406 in the Libre powder and put it on the eyelid itself. I have espresso liner, Chanel mascara. So these are very pigmented shades. The blushes are luminous, very easy to use, very pigmented, can be used soft. Really, really well done by Chanel. These are limited edition. They are 9 grams. They are 0.31 ounces. They are referred to as the Douceur de Equinox. I'm sure I butchered it, but I did my best. Blush Harmony. So again, light and deep shades. They are packaged like this. They have a little like, almost like fall packaging on the side to denote the color. This is beige, and then they have the rose. And again, they are $65. They're almost like, they weren't available except in retailers up until whenever this goes up. I'm not exactly sure. But anyway, it's the 15th that they suddenly became available everywhere online. So they should be, but they are selling out. They are limited edition. Again, I'm not one of those people. I'm not going to tell you you need these blushes. You don't need any of this. But if you're looking for a pigmented, beautiful blush, it's actually not a bad price point for luxury, $65 for a decent size, 0.31 ounces, and very pigmented and really quite beautiful. And you'll see that in the swatches that come up. The Libres, they are loose eyeshadows and they are intense and long wearing. I will say this, they are long wearing. I'll give them that. So they are the first loose eyeshadow by Chanel. Natural and sophisticated hues that echo the warm colors of the fall equinox, the start of Gabrielle Chanel's favorite season. Again, we're talking about the favorite season. Pearlescent intense pigments, deep vibrant color with the satin sheen, semi-transparent black bottle, features gradient effect that allows each luminous shade to show through. That is true. They are luminous. Again, I'll have the swatches go up to the 3 shades I bought, 402, 404, and 406. 406 is actually my favorite. They do last, I'd say 6 to 8 hours without increasing. I have dry eyelids, so if you have oily eyelids, I can't speak to that, but there is a satin sheen. They are very pretty. Here's the thing. They are $40. They are, let's see, I'm looking for size. Where is the size? Here we go, 4 grams, 0.14 ounces, 18 months shelf life. The application, the bottle, and what this is, it's just a doe foot applicator at the top, a thick one. And the issue is, and you'll see it when I do the video because I just put it straight on my face so you could see how it looked. And then I used it in a more appropriate manner. I'm going to use that word when I did this look. If you try to take it from this and just put this on your eye, you are going to get fallout everywhere. It's just going to happen. It's a loose powder. It's a loose pigment. Back in the day, I loved the MAC loose pigments. I still have them. They're fantastic, incredibly vibrant, intense, beautiful shades. And they're actually a pretty decent price point back in the day. And my hair's doing weird things, sorry. And I love those pigments, and I love a good loose pigment. But the way I always use those loose pigments is that I dunk the loose pigment sort of in the cap. It's kind of what I do with the Givenchy loose powder blushes and highlighters. And then I would take a brush or my finger and put it on my eye. There wasn't, you know, a doe foot applicator in that. It was just a loose pigment, a loose powder. So this idea is great, but if you just pull it out, that's not going to work. You can pull it out like this and then like wipe off the sides of it and then kind of like, you know, press it on your hand so you get off the excess and then put it on your lid, but there's still going to be fallout. There's still powder, pigment everywhere. Like it's all over my desk. It's just the nature of a loose pigment, loose powder. That's just what happens. So I actually like the shades on my eye. Like I said, this is 406. I think it's quite beautiful. I think it's a beautiful shade. But I'm not sure we really needed this, and I'll get into this at the end. Loose pigments used to be much more pigmented and more impactful. Formulas have come a long way, and so have shadows. So that one's $40. And then the Coco Blooms I've used before. I like the Coco Bloom formula. If you're somebody who has a lot of lines or you feel like your lipstick tends to spread, I don't know if I would recommend these as much. They say they're a hydrating, plumping, I don't know if mine plump, but anyway, intense shine, they are. A lipstick that combines intense, long-wearing color, high shine finish with hydrating benefits, and a plumping effect that lasts 8 to 8 hours. Hydra Boost Complex contains mimosa, jojoba oil, and sunflower waxes. Glides on smoothly, absolutely. So lips feel comfortable and soft while looking vibrant, full, and supple. I do think they feel great. I really like these, and I think they feel really good on the lips. My favorite is either 150 or 152. The 154 is a little red for me. I mean, it's very pretty red, but I just don't wear red that often. But, like, I think they're good. I really do. I like this formula a lot, and I've liked this formula before. But it's not a new formula, so I don't feel like, you know, I have to, like, explain it. It's like a lip veil, but much more intense and shinier. I do think they last, but the hydrating lasts. The color doesn't necessarily last. Like your lips do feel hydrated and comfortable for quite some time, but I wouldn't be like, oh, the lip color lasts, because these are shiny and, you know, they wipe off. So these are $45, and they are 3 grams, 0.1 ounce, and shelf life 18 months. And like I said, I picked up 150, 152, and 154. There are actually 6 shades in total, 6 shades of the Libre. The blushes, there were only the 2 that I picked up. And then the nail polishes. I'll put up the pictures of the nail polishes as well. There's 2 shades of that. So let's dive in to the application. I'm going to go through the eyeshadows, each shade, so you can see the fallout, you can see the colors. Same for the lips, then the blushes. And then you'll see the look that I put on today so that you can see how I got this overall look using different products in different ways, including the blush on my eyes. And then we will wrap up with some of my thoughts and ideas with the collection and what I would recommend. 140 on the eyes. $402. $404 on the eyes. Lots of fallout. I'm keeping it on my face so you can see what it looks like, what kind of fallout you're gonna get. 406 on the eyes. And as before, I'm gonna leave the fallout because I want you guys to see if you just, use it, pull it out and use it, what's going to happen. Now there are techniques that I'll show you about how to use it so that doesn't happen, but just using it by itself in the manner that it's packaged, that's what's going to happen. Love the shade. Fallout, don't love, but the shade is gorgeous. All right, let's start with 150. I'd say 150 is a warmish nude, probably mid-tone, the lightest of the blooms that I could find. 152. 152, again, mid-tone shade, much pinker on the lips than it was in the swatch. I really like the shade. I think it's very pretty. I'd say a warmer rose tone, a warmer rosewood. It has a little bit of shimmer in it. Not a lot, just a touch. 154 on lips. This is a blue toned red on me. It definitely goes cooler. Again, on my lips, things go cooler. But I actually really like this shade of red. I like a cooler tone red on me. Even though my hair is warm, I feel like it goes better with my skin tone and it makes your teeth look whiter. This is the beige Coral 797. Making sure to get it in the middle there to pick up the two shades. Definitely pigmented. Anyone who said these weren't pigmented, either there was another batch and they weren't pigmented at first, but they are now. This is a very soft brush, so. We have 798 Beige Rose et Mauve, a mauve. Again, making sure we get it in the middle so that we pick up oh, I love that shade. I'm putting it on, I'm not, doing a lot. I'm not putting a lot on the brush, but if I were gonna use this for every day, I'd use less of it, but to show you the shade, I want you to see how beautiful that is. It reminds me of the 90s. It's a very 90s shade. Pink, coral. You've seen all of the things individually. I'm going to take it and mix it up a little bit. I'm going to take the mauve shade very lightly and kind of use it almost as, I'm not going to say I'm going to use it as contour, but because it's the cooler shade, I think that I'm going to use it as like a contour blush. And I'm using a super soft Z brush. This is like one of the softest brushes I have. So the shade is going to go on very lightly. So building that up almost like a contour, a very cool contour on my face. This is what we did. That's what we did in the 80s and 90s before there was such a thing as contour. All right, now we're going to take the coral one and I'm going to go in a little stiffer brush. This is certainly still a soft brush, but to get more of that blush color high on the cheeks, high points. Now, I'm going to take this coral shade and I'm going to use this as the transition on the eyes. Very smooth, goes on beautifully. It has a bit of a shimmer, but not too much. Gorgeous shade on the eyes. I chose the coral one because I like the mauve rose one on my face, but around my eyes, I tend not to like a pinkish tone as much. If you're somebody who likes more of that pink, then definitely you can use that one. The formula is the same between these two. It's just a matter of shade preference. So it ties in with the blush on the cheeks. All right, now I'm gonna go with the 150, which is the lightest shade. I'm gonna use a Chanel liner. This is Beige Natural, very light shade. This might be the lightest Chanel liner. Really nice look. It's definitely gonna be warmer. Going with the warmer shades more so with this. All right, now we're gonna take the 154, I think it was 406. I don't know why I keep changing the numbers. So this is the Libre. So the way I'm gonna use this is I'm gonna put it on my hand. I'm just gonna like dot it on my hand like a loose, it's gonna look, like very much like a loose pigment, which it is. And then I'm gonna take a brush, put it in the loose pigment, and put it on the eye. That is going to be the safest way to do this. Or use a palette if you want to use a palette instead of your hand if you don't want to get, stuff all over your hand. I would understand that. But these powders, and I'll be talking about it, through the rest of the video in more detail about each product. There's a ton of fallout on these, which I knew there would be just because of the nature of what they are. And if you just put it on your face, you can do that. I showed you all 3 shades that I picked up. But if you do that, you really are going to want to make sure that you put your face makeup on afterwards. Okay, I'm going to put on a little bit of liner and some mascara, and then we will go to some final thoughts. So here's what I would say. The blushes are beautiful and my favorite thing in this entire collection. They are definitely limited edition. There's no doubt about that. I think that I originally thought everything was a limited edition, but I'm trying to figure all that out, and if I have details, I'll put it below. The others don't seem to say limited edition. Maybe it's only certain shades that are similar, limited edition in the Blooms and in the eyeshadows. If I can figure that out before this video goes up, I'll put that down below. But the blushes definitely are. And as I said, as I'm recording this, they are selling out. I don't know how limited the stock is. We went through this with Chanel and like the bronzers and the Fantasia blush, and it kept saying it was limited edition, it's gonna sell out. It did. It hasn't come back, and I don't know if it is. So these could be like that. I just don't know. So it's very possible that these are, you know, once they're gone, they're gone. I just don't know. And they do seem to be going quickly. They were on Nordstrom and then they were gone. Hopefully Nordstrom gets more. You can always contact Rhiannon, and I know Marae is at Phipps Plaza in Atlanta. You can contact them at Nordstrom and order them directly. The Blooms, I really like these. This color is Ease, which is 150, which I really, really like. I think this is a beautiful shade, and I think most people can wear this. 152, which is Sweetness, I also really like. It's much cooler. It looks warmer on my hand when I swatch it, but on my lips, it's very pretty. I really do like that one. And if you're looking for a reddish shade, the 154, it goes cool on me, but it's a beautiful red. It's really nice. But like I said, I think these can spread a little more than, like, say, definitely more than like a matte lipstick would, and definitely more than a long-lasting lipstick. So if you're somebody who stays away from anything that might bleed, I wouldn't necessarily recommend these. The Libre shadows, I think they're really pretty, and I like the shades, and I think they're really nice. I got neutral shades, as you saw in the application to my eye. They're all browns. They're beautiful browns, but you are either going to put these on your face first and then clean your face, like underneath here, and then put on your foundation, or you're going to put these on a palette or the back of your hand, so that you don't get fallout. That's the truth of it. So I'm not going to say I'm going to recommend them. I like the way they look once they're on the eye, but to be honest, if I'm looking for a simple one and done easy thing, which these are kind of being sold as that, because you carry them around, you've got the doe foot in your hand, you just put it right on your eye. I'd rather use the eye sticks by like Rare Beauty. They stay all day, they're easy to use, and there's no fallout because they're creams. Again, that's me. I like the loose pigment. I like the old MAC ones, and these are actually quite beautiful, and they do last. But the fallout for me is just, it's just not something I want to put up with. So really quickly before we go, I wanted to show you some swatch comparisons for the blushes, because I think the blushes are going to be the thing that most people are interested in more than anything else. And I do think they're the standout, if I'm, being honest, of the collection. So, absolutely, I think that it's going to be that more than anything else that people are interested in. You can, as I said, just use the shade that's around the outside without using the inside of the blush. There's nothing wrong with doing that. I think it gives you a little bit warmer of a shade, less luminosity, but they're luminous. I mean, even without you putting your finger in the board brush in the middle CCs. All right, so we have those two shades, obviously the rose and then the coral. Then let's take, this is Peche, was this rosé? Yes, this was Peche rosé. I don't even know how many years ago this was now. Amazing how fast these things go. This one is more orange. I do like the Chanel special edition blushes. I always think Chanel does a good job with their powder products. I think Chanel does a good job with a lot of their products. I have on the Chanel No. 1 foundation today. Love that foundation. So, I mean, Chanel does a lot of good things. Just sometimes they, like everyone, right? This is Brune Russi. No one's perfect. Nobody bats 1,000. That one's like one of my deepest and most pigmented. It's also very luminescent. It's a beautiful shade. It's a little too deep for me, so I rarely wear it, but I keep it because it's just so pretty. All right, we've got from last year, this is Coral Etoile. These had stars in them at one point, but the stars are gone. You can kind of see the stars. I'll hold it up in just a sec. You can kind of see the star in there still, sort of, a little bit, maybe. And that's what that one looks like. And then the one that ended up looking more like a highlighter was the Peche Cosmique. I actually like this, but it's not, in my opinion, it's not a blush. Even if you're very, 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 very pale. I mean, I'm pretty pale. It's a highlighter, but I guess if you wanted a blush that doesn't even really look like blush, you'd call it a blush. But still, it's not really a blush. And then this is the Shane's de Chanel, which came out a couple years ago. Beautiful shade. I go in very softly with this, but I do love it. And this one does have some similarity to the rose mauve. The Shane's is a little browner. I also have RMS Beauty. This is French Rosé. Much pinker, much, much pinker. We have Rosy Glow in Mahogany, which again has much more of a brown to it than the rose. And then we have 61 from Armani. You know, I don't really see anything that's exactly like either one of these. Interesting. Both of them are really pretty. I also want to try it next to Chanel. Let me grab Chanel really quickly. Dior Chanel is one of my favorite shades. Just want to see it next to this. It's a very different formula, a very different type of blush. Yeah, it's almost in between the two shades. It's closer, Chanel is closer to the coral than it is to the rose mauve. It's not a surprise, but interesting. Let me know what other comparisons you'd like to see, if there's other particular shades that call out to you for the blushes or the eyeshadows or lipsticks. I'd say these are, you know, as I summed up before, the Blooms are really nice shades. 150 and 152 are my favorite, the ones I picked up. You know, you can go based on what shades you like. If you like a shiny, very luxurious and comforting, hydrating lip, almost like a lip veil, but more intense. The Libres, I like the way they look on the eye. I actually think they're quite beautiful, but you have to be comfortable, unless you want fallout, with a step in between. Putting it on a palette, putting it on your hand, something like that. You can be very careful with them, with the doe foot, and gently, you know, put it in your eye, but I still think you're gonna be extremely careful. It's not just something that you could just whip on like an eye crown. The blushes, I think, are stunning. I really do. I think they're beautiful on the face, whether you go in light, whether you go in deeper like I did in when I put them on individually. That was not, by the way, a lot of pigment. Like, I did not pick up a lot of pigment. I went in lightly with my brush, and that's what you got. So they're definitely pigmented blushes. You're gonna get a lot of payout for them. I think they are beautiful. I think they are, if I were to say worth it, in my opinion, yes, based on what I pay for blushes and other products, but they're still expensive, and I get that. So, but they are limited edition, so if you are interested in picking them up, I would say pick them up sooner rather than later, which is why I'm trying to get this video up as soon as possible so you can all see it. The other shades, the Libres and the Blooms and the nail blushes, I think will be there for a while. The blushes, I just am not sure. And Chanel doesn't make it clear sometimes how much stock they have, or, you know, how long they're going to have a product. I wasn't even really clear that they were going to be online today. When I originally was hearing about when they were going to be online, it was September 1st. So, you know, that's why I can't have a specific answer for all of you. But I'm looking forward to any of your questions down below, any comparisons you want to see. Hopefully this was helpful. So thanks so much for joining me today, guys. I really do appreciate it. I hope to see you in another video really soon. Bye.